Welcome, everyone. Today, it's a pleasure to have Carly Worth here, an exceptional realtor and investor. Welcome, Carly.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Great to have you here. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your background?
Yeah, so just quick breakdown. I was in the fitness industry from 19 to 26, and then, or 18 to 26 rather. And then COVID happened. Gym I was running shut down. The fitness industry obviously really changed, and I ended up getting into real estate on the agent side and started working with investors. And then about a year and a half into my career, I got offered managing partner position for a small brokerage that's investment-based brokerage in Connecticut. So I've been there for, actually, no, I guess I was 2.5 years in, because now it's been like around a year.
Yeah.
And then last August, I started investing personally with a business partner, and I currently own, I lost track, I think I'm at 46 or 47 doors, and then doing a 36 duplex development as well in Oklahoma. So that's currently what I have on the board. And then I raise capital, I coach investment agents nationwide. I manage we have about 20 agents in our brokerage. And I do all of our acquisitions as well. Most of it is off market in other markets. So that's kind of a quick breakdown.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So you said duplex, you're handling duplex, yeah? Why that particular field?
So we're over by the military base in Oklahoma. So I own a 36 unit out there. And then there's a town, the next town over, which is beautiful, but there's really like no land. Like there's a ton of land, but no land for sale. So we were actually able to get our hands on 22 acres. So we purchased that to develop because there's a lot of higher up military personnel that want to live in Cache, Oklahoma versus Lawton, Oklahoma, which is where the base is. So we bought out there so that we could develop. So from an investment standpoint, duplexes are they're great. They're great assets to have. So we want to develop the duplexes on the 12 acres, and then we'll hold those. And then over on the 10-acre lot, we will build kind of like a single family community, but we'll sell those. So we'll probably, if we build like half an acre, we'll probably build about 24 houses out there. So it will sell off for profit.
Yeah, I see. That's nice. It makes sense. Is that the biggest game changer for your business in the past year?
I'm going to say it was probably buying the 36 unit. That was my first investment property. And once you kind of buy an apartment building, it's just like everything else is just so much easier. And then you just have the itch to constantly be buying. So, once you have one thing, you just want more. I have an itch to buy something like every 2 weeks. It's really bad. But I've learned to be patient and actually wait for a good deal to pop up and not just buy a deal because it doesn't make sense. So we haven't done that. We're patient buyers. But it depends on the inventory at that current time. So we were slow for maybe like a month. Now we're contracting one today, and we did look at an apartment building over by our other apartment building last week, but it's a little unpredictable. There's a lot of things that could go wrong once you start rehab. So although the numbers on paper are great and make a lot of sense, you don't know what you're going to find behind the walls of that building. So we decided not to move forward on that, which was unfortunate, but it was a smart business decision. So
yeah, I see what you mean. When you said that you are patient, waiting for the good deals, is there a key, maybe a couple of tips that that this is going to be a good deal and you go for it no matter what?
So from a rental buying perspective, investors typically will go on a 1% rule. So it's like if the house is $100,000, you need to make at least, your rent roll needs to be at least $1,000 a month. But in these markets, I'm kind of hitting like close to a 2% rule. So now that's kind of been my new thing, is I'm like, if it's not close to being as good as all the assets I already own, then like I'm not buying it, because I know I can get those assets that are really good. So with that being said, you know, the quick 1% rule on the holding side, and then for an apartment building, I usually just calculate a cap rate like super quick. So I'll do like what the current NOI is based on the purchase price, and then a pro forma cap rate as well. And you know, it's hard with rates right now. Commercial rates, I don't know about like where you are, but in the US, it's really hard with like plus right now.
Same.
Really hard. So the numbers have to make a lot of sense, because your rates are so ridiculously high. So it needs to probably be at least like 14 cap pro forma for me to even like dig really deep into it.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Because I've gotten that before. So once you've gotten it, you're kind of like, do you really buy something that's like not as good and is going to be as much work, or do you just be patient and wait for, you know, a slam dunk of a deal?
Yeah. I get you. Makes sense. So you said you started 2.5 years ago into this?
So I've been in the industry for 3.5 years, but I started investing last year. So I've been investing for about a year.
Okay, so is there a mistake, the number one mistake, let's say, you made early on and you learn the lesson from?
Okay, this is definitely one mistake. So my business partner has been buying and selling real estate for like 12 years. So we were able to eliminate a lot of the bumps, even going into new markets, just because of you know, his background.
Makes sense.
So the biggest issue was my first property, which was the 36 unit. We were supposed to be getting seller financing for, I think it was like 30% seller financing, which was going to cover our deposit. Our goal is always to go into these deals without putting capital in. That's kind of like the objective. So we raised short-term capital, all that kind of stuff. So we're supposed to have 30% seller financing. However, you couldn't put it on the HUD because the lender, our hard money lender, wasn't allowing a second position. So the seller would have been in second position, but there was no second position allowed. So we had to do it off the record. And his attorney got us documents, you know, or we were actually paying the attorney to get documents drafted for the seller financing portion and interest that we were going to be paying. And unfortunately, we had to come with all the cash to close. So we both took our funds, probably, I think it was around $400,000. So we come in like last minute, okay, we have the cash, so let's just close it out and we'll get the refund once it closes in like a couple days. So our game plan was, okay, we're putting in $400,000, but we're getting it back in like less than a week. And taking the seller financing portion. Well, the seller was super sketchy and decided he wanted nothing to do with this deal anymore. So he didn't want to keep money in, and it just ended up being this whole huge big thing. So essentially we had to leave all of our capital into this deal. So we have about $500,000 sitting in this apartment building right now. And another lesson from that was property management. We do own a property management company in Connecticut, but you know, commercial, just like commercial being an agent in commercial versus being a residential agent versus commercial loans versus residential loans, it's the same thing with property management. It's very different. And our property manager was great with, you know, single families and that sort of thing, but she could not manage this building. And she came with the building. Disaster. Could not get anything rented. And instead of her just telling us like, hey guys, like I don't have the time or the knowledge to get this rented for you, it was just like this dragging out. And I'm like, well, I'm going to start finding people to help you lease because this is my money sitting in there. And I'm not just going to sit here and do nothing, waiting for you to maybe do something. So I'm finding a different property manager who manages a bunch of apartment buildings in that area. So we just signed her on like a week and a half ago. She already has a couple rented. She has 32 showings this week. So we're going to be okay. But, you know, that's definitely a lesson is your asset is only as valuable as your property manager.
I see. Could you say that you could see yourself as the property manager as well?
Absolutely.
Or you have to hire someone else?
No, I will not property manage. That is a 24/7, 7-day a week job. I don't want a job, which is why I'm an investor.
I understand that. Yeah, I feel that.
But my business partner has run the property management company back in Connecticut. So, you know, he kind of handles that side, making sure everything is like, you know, the appfolio is up and running and all that sort of stuff. So he has the property management background. I do not, and I do not want to learn. So he can stay on that. But we might start self-managing and then just having a person like on the ground there. But like collecting our own rents, like doing all that, and then just having like repairs that need to be made, just having like a handy person that we pay. Just because it's when you like doing things a certain way and to get someone else to run their business the way that, you know, you would run your business, it's just not super practical. So yeah, we'll probably start self-managing.
I see. It makes sense. Is there a question that you get asked most often about your business in particular?
Everyone has been asking like how to get involved in owning out of state. Because Connecticut is super saturated right now. The numbers just don't make sense. They really just make zero sense. Like you cannot cash flow in this market anymore. Which is why we started buying out of state. So we actually found a solution to that problem, and we decided that we would make real estate kind of automated. So, you know, a normal person like you, whether you knew about real estate or you knew nothing about real estate, as long as you had money, we could build you a portfolio. So you would still own real estate. You'd get the tax benefits. Your LLC would come in with our LLC. We'd be 50-50 partners, but we would do everything. We only use the BRRRR method, which is the buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. So our objective is to get pretty much all of the capital, hopefully make money off of every house that we purchase with that individual's money. We manage the asset. We do literally everything until you decide one day when you want to sell. So you basically just collect half of the rent roll, and then you get all the benefits still. You get to decide when you want to sell it. And then you could 1031 into a larger building, which we could do for you. Or you could kind of just cash out, pay your taxes, and be done. But whatever, you get your initial investment back when you sell, like the whole thing back. And then you get the 50% of the equity that is gained through the time of holding. So a lot of people, like even investors out here who are very savvy investors, are like, I want you to make me a portfolio. Like I need to own in these states, but they don't have the time, the infrastructure, or the knowledge to go into these other markets like we have done. So that's been kind of like the biggest thing, because our numbers are just crazy. I mean, we bought a duplex. I think we're all in at like 55 grand, and our rent roll is 1,600.
Oh,
like,
insane.
That's insane. That's like equivalent to buying like $160,000 house that we're in for less than 60 grand. So, you know, people are kind of seeing those numbers, and it's very intriguing. Especially investors typically like cash flow. Like, yeah, appreciating markets are nice, but you're not going to go into, and unless you have capital to park, you're not going to go into strictly in equity play. You're going to go into something that you can make worth more in cash
Yeah,
flow.
it makes sense. So yeah, so you can have cash flow 100%. So is there a kind of piece of advice you would give to your younger self a couple of years ago or a year ago that would change something?
Don't expect people in business. Kind of take what people in business say lightly. You know, I think when you have a big heart and you're a good person, you expect those people to be the same. You know, if I was taking care of someone's asset, I would treat it as if it were my own, but that's just not the reality of this world, unfortunately. So I would definitely say that to myself. And I mean, I did it. I personally saved like everything, which is why I'm in the position now that I am. You know, I can make like $100,000 a year just lending out my capital. So what I would say to younger people listening to this, like, save everything that you possibly can. Like, live below your means always, but try to live extra below your means when you're younger, because then when you hit, you know, 25, 30, you'll have that much more money that will make you that much more money for the rest of your life. So definitely save. Think long term. You know, I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars sitting in my bank account. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars working for me that's making me more money.
Exactly.
So it's, you know, you don't want to just keep your cash sitting there. Like, cash, it's useless. Go make your money. We got to roll with the inflation. Out here, I will not invest in the stock market while our current president is in play. So I'm going to ride that out for now. And for now, real estate, I mean, I make like 18 to 24% a year on my money by investing in real estate. So that's kind of my strategy, because we do short-term loans as well. So I loan a lot of our short-term loans to our other company, where we pay a 6% minimum. So typically our deals are done being flipped in 3-4 months, but you get 6%. So if it flips in 2 months, you get 6%. If it flips in 3 months, you get 6%. So if you roll that 3 to 4 times a year, that's 18 to 24% a year.
That's it.
I do with my money.
All right, let's dive in the bonus section. So there I'll say a word or a phrase, and you must reply with the first thought that comes to your mind. Make sense?
Okay.
Right, let's get into it. Investments.
Money.
Real estate.
Investing.
Sky's the limit.
Financial freedom.
Your network is your net worth.
100%. That is my motto.
And last one, teamwork makes the dream work.
100%. You are so much more valuable. The more partners you have, the more things you can get done, the more money you can make.
I see. You know, let's get back to the real estate. You said investing. Obviously, when I'm thinking of real estate, and when someone wants to get into the real estate, the number one advice I've seen from the big names out there is never invest with your own money. So you want to either raise capital or take a loan, something like that. Use debt to do it, right? So is this what you mean by investing?
Yeah. So like, I lend my money to people who need, like, that's the thing. And people are like, well, why don't you just invest with your own money? Like, you don't have 70 grand to buy that house. I'm like, yes, I do. But it's more valuable for me to keep my cash and go put it into other people's deals, and then take your money and just pay you when I'm done with the deal. Like, I'm making money on every deal I buy. So why wouldn't I leverage? Like, people think of debt as being bad, but in real estate, like, it's good debt. Like, you honestly want to leverage and have as much debt as humanly possible in real estate. So you might be $50 million in debt of real estate, but those assets could be worth $100 million in real estate.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you $50 million, you know, you're worth $50 million even after your debt. So yeah,
True.
100%. I get asked that all the time. They're like, why don't you just use your own money? Because that's not what good investors do. Good investors use other people's money no matter how much money they have. 100%. That is 100% factual. And it's hard to get people who have money to invest with you that don't understand real estate, because they're like, well, aren't you supposed to have the money? Like, are you too broke to buy real? It's like, no, no, just give me your money and I will make you money.
Yeah, exactly.
That was totally true.
It's how the game works. I'm not into real estate, but I have a couple of friends who are really into this, and from the way they are explaining it, I understand how the game works, even if I'm not there yet. Obviously, I got real estate, but I'm not into
100%.
that full time. You know, I'm doing my own thing into copywriting, and that's it for now.
Yep. I mean, you got to start somewhere, but that is 110% true. Like, you want to use as much leverage as humanly possible. Like,
Yeah.
And I just had a client actually last week who's not in the real estate world, but she's like, why would he, like, if he has millions of dollars, like, why does he even have a mortgage? Like, why wouldn't he just
they
buy
don't get it.
And I'm like, because, like, you can take that $1 million and go make so much more money rather than, like, not having a mortgage for whatever percent. Like, if your mortgage is 8%, but your money, you can go make 18% on your money, you're leaving 10% on the table. Doesn't make any sense. So that's the way I try to explain it to people who aren't in real estate, just to get them to kind of be like, wow, yeah, if I made an extra 10%, then my money's working for me rather than it's just sitting there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I see. Is there any last words from Carly before we close the pod?
If you want to invest passively in real estate, I can definitely help you do that. You don't need to know anything about real estate. You just need to have capital, and I can get you a return with me and my business partners. They have been partners for 12 years. And I'm now partners and owners with them as well. So we have people for every aspect, from acquisitions to investor relations to property management, asset management, lending, refinancing, underwriting. We have everything covered. So definitely, if you want to make some passive money, reach out to me. Would love to help you. So definitely it's worth investing, and you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right, that's good to know. Thank you for being here, Carly, again.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
And that was Carly Worth, ladies and gentlemen.